Okay.
Hi. So I'm going to talk about how to align with the mask for a binary phase mask process. So this is a mask I developed. So this is the case. This is what the mask looks like. So the instructions are described for how to handle just these kinds of masks, but so you know, this is considered face up, and this is the MJB4 mask aligner. This is where the exposure occurs. This is a vacuum plate. How you put it on is put it on chrome side up, which looks red. And you put it on like that, and you attach the vacuum like so. And then this becomes the bottom. So this is quartz sample. This has no chrome on it yet, but after the first step with the circles, there should be chrome on this when you get to the mask aligning step at all. But because I didn't want to waste a good square, just using this guy. So what you do is you get one of these small chucks, something like this, small enough so that a vacuum can be made with this hole. Slide this out, put this in here. I like to have this notch be in the center because I know it's in the center if it's like that. Take this guy, put this on here. You may or may not be okay with just having the hole be like that. If it doesn't work, just try to get the hole covered, but I don't remember it being that much of a problem. So you put this in here, put this in the center. This guy, slide in like so. Now, notice that this mask is not transparent, mostly. That's because we're using positive photoresist. So the exposed areas are the parts that are going to be etched away. And when I got here, we knew that processing worked with positive photoresist, so I didn't want to do any experimentation with the process because that wasn't my job. My job was to, once given the process, actually make the thing. So that's what I've been doing. So this, so the way I designed this mask right here is there's 5 areas here laid out in a cross shape. So the center area was for developing the chrome apertures, and the others were for making the holes so you could etch away trenches in that shape afterwards. So the first step, you have no alignment marks on your sample to begin with because it doesn't come with alignment marks on it anyways. So the way I did this was just I tried to center this entirely, everything as best as I could, just hope for the best, and it seemed to work out by just making everything in the total center as possible. So luckily, this shape is 3 inches in diameter, and this is 1 inch across for each little square, so it's about a 3 by 3 thing here. So try to center it as best as possible. So you see the whole design in here. So that's pretty good. Obviously you'll try to make it exactly as perfect and aligned as best you can. But this only is even an issue if you don't know the actual size of your sample. If you know you have exactly 1 inch by 1 inch samples, you could make little tic-tac-toe grid in here and just look at the boundaries in your mask, but when I made this, I was not sure exactly what size of quartz I was using, so that's why I did this. But it would be much easier if you made some streets down here so you could view wide enough so that you could tell that half of your sample was in the street and half of it was outside of the street, because then you could just see it's all entirely contained where you want it to be, and then you could then use the microscope to center it from then on. And that is sort of how I would have liked to do it. That's how I would do it if given the opportunity. But this is good if you're not sure exactly what the sample size is. And so after you use the first alignment mark, then it becomes the case where you have to use designs on each of the perimeter of the mask. That may be the case, because not everything can be in the center. So what I did when doing that was, let's say we want to do step 1 first, okay? Or step 1. You can see there's a 1 right there. So what I do is take off the vacuum and make whatever design I want to be using at the very top of this, the bottom being the side with the cable. Push that in, make sure it's secure. So now this guy is in the center. And what that allows me to do is, since this stage, you can move left, right, and rotate a little bit, but not necessarily the full width to here or to here. Making the design in the center with respect to this axis is useful, because the way you push it in, you have your full vertical freedom anyway. So it requires a little bit of experimentation and figuring out where the actual sample is. But you can see it works from down here, that this overlays on here. Now when you want to align it after the first step, and you have to use this mask, what I do is this what I've been doing is, can you see that light from the microscope? Okay. That's just sort of a marker to know where the microscope is actually looking on this screen over here. And so you can either match it, so you can move this with the knobs to go over a certain feature that you want to examine. For example, one of these little squares. So you'll put this in like so. Check where the light is, so you just can figure it out where it is. Just move left or right until you see the feature that you want to actually examine. Here, like this. Good. So, then what you do is you'll fix this in here, and we'll take the sample out, and you'll look at it to get the X and Y, and always push it back into the stage when you actually move it, but you can take it out to just check where it is and then push it back in. but that's just to get a good approximation. And then on this side, you'll push up this lever, and when you use the actual mask aligner, if you push this up all the way, it'll go to exposure mode, and it'll ask you if you want to expose. So it takes a little bit of practice to get it up to exactly the right height, but before it actually clicks. And when you use but before you try to do that, assuming you've already taken training on this machine, you'll go to settings, WEX settings. I'm gonna go back because I don't want to actually do that, but you'll go to WEX settings and follow that, and that calibrates the actual height. And then as part of the WEX setting, you take it back off. So that means that it knows exactly how high it is when it actually clicks. But so after that, when you want to actually align, move this up so you'll see the samples features, and you'll see another cross on here, for example, and you will want to align that cross to this cross. And then after that, you can use alignment features like this to get finer alignments. Of course, remembering that since you rotated the mask, you'll definitely probably need to rotate your sample as well. So that's the alignment procedure, and I recommend always wiping off the mask, cleaning it with acetone, and in an acetone bath, and then squirting a little bit of acetone on a little white wipe or any wipe, and just gently rubbing it clean, and also doing the same thing with the quartz sample between every step, because if you're doing a lot of steps, a little error could propagate and become a big one, and it's just not very hard to clean it. And so I recommend cleaning it between every step, and you'll save yourself a lot of time with a higher success rate. And I think that's it. Thanks.
Thank you.